I'm reorganizing or resituating my office as I kick off this episode because it's all brand new behind me. Well, my office isn't brand new, but when I came home from our motorhome trip, I came into my office and I was like, this is not going to work anymore. I need a little freshening. I need just new energy. I don't know if you've ever been in that place before, but I decided I was going to wallpaper my office. I hired a designer to come in and help me kind of redo my office and buy some furniture probably about a year ago. And she was like, I really think wallpaper would look amazing. And I resisted it. I was like afraid of the commitment of wallpaper. And finally, and I was going through a rebrand and I wanted to just kind of sit with it and be patient to see what really popped up. And so I decided to do this simple design behind me. If you're listening, you can't see, but it's kind of this chevron design, white with black chevrons. I ordered some new furniture and now I feel so fresh. I can take advantage of the natural sunlight, so I'm not having to use ring lights. And this is my first time recording with it. So I'm very excited. And if you didn't know this, we actually put all the episodes on YouTube. And you'll see that in our more recent episodes, we're working to actually include the recorded video. So you get to see my face. That could be a great thing or not, whatever you think. But what's really cool is when my guests come on, you get to see both of us. You get to see them. You get to put a face with a name, and it's definitely more interactive. So I will for sure drop the link to our YouTube channel here. We'd love to be, have you there and growing it. And I'm also going to drop the link to the wallpaper because maybe you want to take on wallpapering. I actually started doing wallpaper like research and I decided I was not doing the paste method because that was way too cumbersome and way past my skill set. So the wallpaper is actually the peel and stick, which is great for me because then if I don't like it, it's less commitment. I'll put the link to the wallpaper too, so you might love it or it might inspire you to freshen up your energy as well. That being said, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about today. um, but what we are talking about, and what we are talking about today, is your unique coaching style. I hired my first coach years ago, and this was after having two babies, three miscarriages. I kind of felt at that time that I was in this alien body. I did not know. Felt like I had been living a roller coaster, 18 months of breastfeeding each child. So, 3 years plus of breastfeeding. It was kind of like, who am I in this external body that I didn't recognize anymore? And I'd gained 70 plus pounds with my first kiddo, lesser with the second, but just had really through some of the emotions with loss and becoming a new mom felt like I was at this place where I definitely needed support. And so through a referral, I hired my first coach, which I did not know at the time would be one of the greatest catalysts for me becoming starting my own business. And when I hired her, she taught me this new skill, and that skill was macro tracking. And I really, I learned at that point that I understood food quality, but I didn't understand the mechanics of food quantity. And she would literally she gave me kind of my target macros, and I would track them. And then every week I would send an Excel spreadsheet. And that would really be the depths of our coaching relationship. Occasionally be like, I'm hungry at night. What do I do? Or I'm low on protein. What do I do? And all of this was exchanged via email. Little did I know, she invited me on to an apprenticeship where I learned from her over a year or so in depth so that I could take clients off her hands and eventually open up my own side of the practice and begin to support hundreds of clients. And through that, right, that was kind of my only model of what quote unquote online coaching looked like. I have been up to this or up to now, I've coached for 25 years, right? My first job was as a 15-year-old was as a coach. And I've weaved that into every aspect of my life. It's who I am at the core. It's the gift that I think God has given me. What I realized though, as I began to serve my clients in that way, is it didn't suit me enough. Some clients it was great for. That surface level coaching was perfect. They would take it and they would run with it. There wasn't a deeper attachment. However, there was a vast majority of my clients that they needed deeper work. There was stuff going on in their mind that was keeping them blocked. They struggled with work-life balance. They struggled with worthiness. They struggled with, eating stuff. There were so many things that is really what was for me the catapult into going deeper into levels of coaching, deeper into the life and the transformational work, which set the tone for me to do multiple certifications over the years to develop a skill set and a toolbox to help with that deeper level of coaching. And that's what I'm here to talk about with you today is Is surface level coaching best for you? Is deep work best for you? Or maybe it's a combination of both. And you might be listening and thinking, well, I've never even thought about that. I didn't even know there were differences. And that's why I love to bring this conversation up, because there are differences. And I want to help you think about, what kind of coach do you want to be? I also love the ocean. We spent about 21 of our days out along the coast, so we were constantly at the ocean, and I feel my best there. Maybe you do too. Some people do not like the ocean. Some people like to just sit on the beach and see the ocean. But some people love the ocean enough that they just like stay on the surface, right? So they take a boat out and they're always above it, or they are on like a boogie board or something and they just skim the waves, or they're on a raft or something like that. And then other people love the ocean so much that they want to go deeper inside of it. They like put on a mask and a snorkel and they're snorkeling inside of it. Or even deeper than that is they, learn how to scuba dive or some other metric or some other means like that. And they go so deep so they can investigate and be curious and explore. Essentially, we know our limits when it comes to the ocean and where our comfort zone is and where it is not. And then we hang out in that place. Well, I believe the same thing happens in coaching. You get to decide where you want to hang out. Do you want to be the boogie board coach on the surface, or do you want to be the scuba diving coach? And so today, I hope the content that I share just helps you think more about that. And one thing I've really noticed, I've been watching the metrics on downloads, and one of the things is you love some shorter episodes. So I'm also trying to work to keep things concise and to the point so you can walk away with nuggets and then just keep applying. So do me a favor, if this episode speaks to you too, I would love for you to share it to a colleague. Share it with a colleague or a coach in your world that you think would benefit, because that is the way we start to have these conversations and we, increase the integrity and the quality of coaching inside of our world. So going back to my story, I would have not known. It was my gut that told me, all right, Amanda, there's got to be more here. Like I'm not serving these people to the depth that I think I possibly can. And so you might love for you to think about, are there areas that you feel stuck or you lack skills specifically to help your coaches or to help your clients? This is the work we do inside the BDC. When we feel stuck, like we can't serve people, we can have these conversations without spending $20,000 on a certification, because I don't believe that those are necessarily always the answer to your success. So we're going to really look at the two types, surface and deep coaching. This is my words. This is what I'm calling it, because to me, I see it like an iceberg, right? You're on the surface, like you're coaching all the stuff that you can see. And then you get to decide as a coach, do you want to go beneath the surface and look at some of those things that are underneath? And for some people, they do not want to. So we're going to start with surface and then go a little bit into deep coaching and talk more about it. So, as the name implies, surface coaching for me is staying at the surface of the problem we are helping the client solve. So, when they say, I'm going to use weight loss for example, I want to lose 10 pounds, we're just like only focus on the loss of 10 pounds when it comes to the tactics or modalities. We're willing to give direct feedback to that problem and to that problem only, right? If they start to share these other outside pieces, then we're like, oh, that's not in my wheelhouse. And with surface coaching, you don't necessarily want to have the desire. You don't have the desire, or maybe it's that you just don't know what you don't know, like it was for me, to dig deeper into the whys, like why the root of the problem is what it is. Like, why do you keep gaining weight? Why do you gain weight and lose it? Why do you struggle to maintain consistency, right? So those would be some deeper questions that might be asked. However, staying on the root would be like, well, here's your goals, hit them. Well, you're not hitting them. Well, here they are again, right? We're not really exploring beyond that. And I see it as like surface coaching is solving an acute problem and trying to work to get them to the other side. Now, I believe that many of our clients come to this visualizing surface coaching. They don't even know what they don't know. Again, we're giving them what they want. We're showing them what they need. They may not realize that there's something underneath it. And in fact, some people will reject it. They will be like, I don't want to go there. And that's okay. We can respect that model and understand that. But we do need this type of coaching because it still changes lives. I think back to my hundreds of clients that I had in the macro tracking world and the weight loss world is literally changed their lives. We never really investigated at that point in phase of my coaching what was beyond that. We didn't get to the root of some of the habits and behaviors that needed to change, and that's okay. What I will say though about surface level coaching for me is it does create more superficial change and more superficial reflection. And I think the result of that sometimes is that it's short term change. It's not necessarily the deeper long term identity shifting change that I now can look back at and see, oh, like this is it. So, what might happen is they lose the weight and they do really well for a little while, but then because we didn't necessarily hit the root, they might be like, okay, Amanda, I need your help again. Or they might go, oh, this didn't work. So I'm going to go try to find something else. So for me, I personally just got to a place in my business, and I feel this way in the work I do now, because so much of my work, I don't really identify with the name business coach, although people will call me their business coach. I really feel like what I bring is problem solving coaching and performance coaching and life coaching into the business world, because that's where we need the most work, is behaviors, habits, and identity shifts. And so this to me is where a superficial, or I'm sorry, surface coaching is about. And you might be listening and say, like, that's me totally. And if you feel good with that, I want you to understand that that is fantastic. If you feel like there's opportunity for growth, then I think the opportunity comes is in diving into more deep coaching. And deeper coaching is really being willing to work around the problem. Like you see the problem and you know it, but in the back of your mind, you have kind of your like tentacles, your feelers up, and you're looking for keywords, phrases, thoughts, behaviors that help you go beneath the surface, right? They present as one thing. The external problem is what we like to call it. And what you know is there's actually this internal problem happening inside. And it requires you to kind of use models to explore the client's thinking, which I teach inside the BDC. And it helps them become almost like a voyeur of their own life, a voyeur of their thinking, a voyeur of their behaviors. And man, that's the freaking gift of self awareness. When you have that as a person, then you are able to navigate this world with deeper level of, I think, confidence and awareness of yourself and others. And it creates just in general more happiness from my perspective. Deep coaching targets the thoughts, the habits, the behavior change. And like I mentioned, it is identity shifting. So we're literally like the person you want to become, like, what do we have to do to become that person? The caveat to deeper coaching is it does take longer from my perspective. So we aren't just solving this root problem. We're keep like unpacking and peeling back the onion layers. Some coaches don't want to do that. Some coaches want to stay at the surface. Some clients don't want to do that. So you have to know what your values are and around coaching, which is why we're chatting about this. Because if somebody comes to you and is like, "Help me lose 10 pounds right now," but you value deep coaching, then they may not be the right fit. So that is an internal red flag. So when you're clear on this, then you actually get in greater alignment with the right clients that you want to serve. So do you see how this all wraps around? The other aspect about deep coaching is that I think it's sometimes harder to measure because we're trained to want immediate gratification. And sometimes, journaling for 3 months may not show and pay dividends for 6 months to a year. And then we look back and go, oh my gosh, look how much we've shifted. And so we have to also be clear and set those expectations for our clients. But deep coaching does create deep transformation. And it takes, for me, like this active goal setting piece. We have to measure, we have to, follow it cyclically. We have to break down the pieces and make adjustments. And that might be, a series of cycles. You might work with someone for 6 months and realize like we definitely need another 6 months or another year or something like that. And the two types I think of deep coaching for me that land would be what we call life coaching, right? Which is helping people achieve their goals, overcoming some of the challenges they face in everyday life and making changes in their lives. And the other type of coaching that falls under this is what I would qualify as transformational coaching. And this focuses on that behavioral change and habits and values. It's like getting to the core of someone's beliefs and values and emotions and helping them see how it contributes to the current place they are and the current outcomes they're getting so that they can make adjustments there and move forward. Um, uh, in 2008, I came across this article. I didn't come across it in 2008, but Jolene Killian, and I don't know if I'm saying her name correctly, but she wrote this essay that I think is really fantastic. I will link it inside of the show notes as well. And she uses this term, and I want to quote her directly: coaching light and coaching heavy. And I love that visual for me because this aligns to what I'm saying here is that surface coaching is coaching light. It's saying like, I got you. We're going to solve this surface problem. Coaching heavy is when we stretch ourselves as a coach. We're willing to have greater behavioral flexibility. It's almost like the coaching session is alive in the moment and it pulls us, it makes us be on our toes. It requires a lot of skill set that surface level coaching doesn't really require us to have. And while all of them are amazing, today I'm bringing this topic up for you to just ask yourself, who do I want to be? And so my request or my suggestion, if this episode resonates with you, is to ask yourself that question and make a decision. Who do I want to be? Do I want a coach that stays at the do I want to be a coach who is surface or deep or a bit of both? And how am I going to grow my toolbox to make that happen? If you are someone that wants to grow their toolbox and wants to be around coaches that really want to be masterful coaches, in fact, best damn coaches, then the BDC is definitely a place that we'd love to have you. I'll drop the link to learn more about the program. You can head on over to amanda-walker.com/best damn coach, and it shares more about our community and what we're about and the kind of coaches that are inside with us. So I hope this week's episode, of course, lands with you, makes you think. And if you have any follow-up conversation, then join me over on Instagram. It's a great place to ask questions and see some of the similar content that's coming out this week around it. So until next time, go coach them up.